Hello there. Hi. Welcome to Butterfly Effect, a podcast all about interviewing people. I'm your host, Tristan Ettleman. Hope things are going well for you. If my voice sounds weird, it's because I might be a little sick, and I woke up real late because I think I'm sick. My body needed some sleep, but I just woke up, and it's like noon because that's what my schedule allows today for some reason. God. I hope you had a great Valentine's Day / President's Day weekend. I worked a lot, so that's why I needed the sleep. It's like 11 hours last night. I never do that. But I was working a whole lot this week, and so I needed it. It's funny because my sleep schedule is all kinds of fucked up because usually I don't have to do anything till like afternoon, evening, but then on the days that I work, I have to get up at 8 o'clock. So it's like I have to get up at 8 o'clock or I have to get up at noon. So I of course adjust to having to get up to noon by going to sleep at like 3 in the morning, but then all of a sudden it's like, hey, you gotta wake up at 8. It's real exciting radio, I understand that, but just explaining that I'm a weird boy with weird sleeping habits right now. And that's not a good sign. That's usually that doesn't help your happiness or anything. But I am happy about who I have on the show today. Gabe Gurwin, a good friend of mine, I would say. I don't know if he would say the same. I think he would. Gabe and I go back a little bit. He is a games journalist. Right now he's currently a freelancer for Digital Trends, a kind of tech / lifestyle website where he writes about games. And but before that he worked for CGR Undertow, a YouTube channel that I also contributed to remotely. So, but I did that after he left. But I was a fan of Gabe's, and we talk about this. I was a fan of Gabe's, and I joined CGR, and then somehow or another we got in contact and started a podcast that was very short-lived, and then we I don't remember. We somehow got in touch again, and we talked about this to write for the site he was writing for at the time, Invisible Gamer, which we're still technically both at for whenever we want to write there. But so I'm thankful for that path to. Because Gabe was somewhat responsible, because I was a big fan of Gabe's, so somewhat responsible for me wanting to do stuff for CGR Undertow, and he was definitely responsible for me doing stuff at Invisible Gamer, which a lot of the work I've done so far, I'm very proud of, came from Invisible Gamer. So, I'm thankful to Gabe for that, and we've been pals throughout that. So, we talk about his journey, what he wants to do with his life, and all that stuff this week, of course. So, I hope you enjoy it. This is a different kind of mood because I already knew Gabe. All my other guests before, I tried somewhat to be formal or courteous. That was not the case this episode, so I hope you enjoy it. See you on the other side. So, what's been going on with the digital trends? Everything's going cool with that?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been able to write as much as I was over the summer, which kind of sucks, but besides that, doing a few stories a week, kind of, there's only a few people who do game stuff, so it's really cool to be able to, freelance for them and sort of pick what I want to write about and sort of kind of guide how the section goes because of that. But yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't even really know about Digital Trends until you got the gig there. But you're right. So mostly it's like hard tech news and stuff like that, right? It's not mostly about games.
Yeah, it's like a lifestyle site. So a lot of the other writers, focus on mobile or or they do movie stuff. They do computer reviews and some music sometimes, that sort of thing. But yeah, gaming is just kind of one part of it. And yeah, so it's just a few freelancers and a couple staffers who kind of write the news for the site.
Has it grown at all since you've been there, or has it kind of stayed the same?
I don't know.
Traffic-wise, even.
I mean, the traffic's been growing, I know, on the site. I don't want to get too much into that sort of thing.
Baseball.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been growing well. I know the social media presence for Digital Trends has been really good, and that's been growing as well, which is good. And we've been able to sort of do our thing with the gaming section, which has been really, really nice. But yeah, it's nice to be writing, for a site that actually seems to be, healthy and that sort of thing, which, there's a lot of sites that aren't.
Has people reading it?
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, from what I guess both of us kind of dealt with. But so I guess we go to the origin story of Gabe, which I know you love talking about.
Yeah,
but
so my parents had sex.
I know you love talking about that a lot too. But so I mean, were you like an indoor kid? Were you like one of those guys through school? Because I definitely was.
Not really, actually. I'd say it was sort of strange because of my group of friends, almost all, pretty much all of them were really big into sports. We played baseball a lot over the summer and stuff like that, and then we'd sort of also play video games. But I was among that group, the guy who was also really, really into video games. So that sort of, I guess, started back then. I guess when I was in elementary school. But no, I wouldn't say I was an indoor kid. I just
you had diverse interests.
Yeah. I was kind of, I'd be the one who'd be playing the new Halo and telling them all about it, and they'd be like, "All right, Gabe, we don't really care." But but we did play games together, I guess, because of that. Kind of our routine during the summer would be I'd be at my one friend's house, and we'd play baseball outside at his cul-de-sac until we were tired, and then we'd come in and we'd play Mario Superstar Baseball or whatever on the GameCube, or I think that was the GameCube one, wasn't it? And there was one on the Wii.
Yeah.
So we played a bunch of Mario sports games, but so that was sort of my I guess the way I kind of handled it. I played games, by myself too, but I wouldn't say I was so much an indoor kid. I did read and that sort of thing, but the indoor part probably came later.
Yeah, because that's how. Now that I'm looking at it, that's kind of similar to my thing, where I was always I was never super athletic or anything like that. But in elementary school, there were kids in the neighborhood, and we'd play football or do whatever, and then we'd go in and play Smash Bros or something, and then going into middle school, people moved away, and then you're too cool to play outside and whatever, so you're I just retreated indoors. But that was probably middle school into high school, definitely was when that started to. Yeah,
and that sort of happened, I guess, with me as well. Sort of in middle school, I got really, really into World of Warcraft, and basically all I played was World of Warcraft. When Halo came out, I got that, and I'd play the Call of Duties that came out. So but it was mostly WoW. I wasn't playing many other games at all until around ninth grade. I started playing on the Ultimate Frisbee team at high school. I only did that. I only did that freshman year. It was fun. At least
I had friends that did it. Yeah.
It was fun. The thing was, this is completely off topic, but it was split into two different leagues. Where the fall league was really casual, and we go to tournaments and just kind of hang out and everyone got to play. And then the spring league was when we started the season. And I didn't like that as much, so I only did it for a year. But so around that time, I was doing that and other stuff. So I got out of World of Warcraft. I think Lich King came out around freshman year, and I did not like it at all. So I stopped playing WoW. And I guess because of that, I started getting into other games just because I had more time to spend. Yeah.
Now that the the big time eater was out of your life.
Crazy too. Am I allowed to swear on this?
Yes,
okay.
Definitely. Also, I love that. Am I allowed to swear on this? Is like the go-to like podcast quotation. But anyways, no, keep going.
But yeah, it was like it was. Yeah, I remember like getting almost borderline an intervention from my dad at one point. Like, you're playing this game too much, and I was like, I know, but I have to keep playing it. And I don't know. I was more into PvE, unfortunately, and the problem was that I was on a Western United States server, so they'd want to start raiding at like, hey, they'd be like, let's raid at 9, but for me that'd be starting the raid at midnight, and then I wouldn't get to bed until 3 in the morning. And so, if I played it again, I'd probably focus on PvP more, but I'm not going to do that. My girlfriend does. That's her game. She plays like that in Hearthstone and
Blizzard.
Yeah, I play Hearthstone now, but I couldn't get into it. But anyway,
when World of Warcraft went to like free to play for a little bit, just as a side topic, I tried it and like I played for 30 minutes. I'm like, nope.
Well, it's free to play for like the first 20 levels, right?
Right. Yeah. And I was like, Did
you ever play before that?
No.
Okay.
So that it missed me. It's gone. Okay. That door closed a long time ago.
And that was even that I was sort of introduced to through like my sort of sports playing friends, because one of the guys, we'd go over to his place and play football because he had like a big flat backyard. He played World of Warcraft, and he got me into it just before Burning Crusade came out. So I kind of.
Well, I mean, World of Warcraft was like. I mean, it was huge.
It was
so
gigantic.
Everyone played it.
Yeah. So a few of us
like
played
League
it.
is now or something.
Right. And so like a few of us all played it together. Although I was on a different server because my dad was just like, this server will work. Click this one. So I was on a server with no one else I knew, and then I made a separate character who I then played. Did some like Warsong Gulch match battleground stuff with some of my friends. They, he helped me get the gear that I wasn't supposed to be able to get at that point, so that I could just destroy people as a rogue, and as you do.
You're right.
But yeah, for a few years, it was really just those couple games. I missed out on like, I'm looking back on like, how did I miss out on this game or this game and this game? And besides the fact that I didn't have a job, at that point, games like the original BioShock, the original Mass Effect, the original Portal. Batman Arkham.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a kid, or even
Asylum.
when you're a high school kid, even like early high school before you get a job or something like that, it's like games, like new games, are like this mythical thing of like, whoa, I want that, but I can't really get it for like 6 months, and then by that time you forget about it, kind of, and then you just kind of stick to what you know, which sounds like it was the case with WoW and Call of Duty, which was kind of similar with me, just minus the WoW. It was just like Call of Duty and Ratchet and Clanks. Basically.
Yeah, God, if I had a PS3 back then too, I would have been done. I had the 360. My neighbor had the PS3, and so I remember going to his house the first time and playing the first Resistance game and just having my mind blown. And I think I had a 360 by that point. Too.
So for some reason, Resistance. Well, I mean, first Resistance is a great game. So
yeah,
I mean,
it was crazy. It was that, and then he had some vehicular combat game when he got his system. It wasn't Twisted Metal. It was something else. But it was. I remember that game being really, really fun. But yeah, that was sort of middle school and early high school was sort of WoW, and besides that, being upset about girls and all that sort of stuff.
Oh God. Sometimes I think back on like those feelings I had. I'm like, what the hell was that?
I look back and I'll get like these mini panic attacks and be like, oh God, why would I do something like that?
Yes. Like I feel the shame again, and I'm like, no.
The good thing is, as I move forward in time and look back on the last couple years, the moments of where I go, oh God, why did I do that, are much lower. So I think I've.
Yeah. I feel like a lot better about the decisions I've made in the past couple of years, definitely. But yeah, no, like early, like high school, little boy, teenage angst. Oh, that was not good.
Oh no, not at all. And I was on
so, anyways, you were dealing with girl troubles and playing a video game here and there. Yeah. So, what was the turning point? Of becoming a full blown video game nerd.
I'd say it's probably around the time I switched high schools, maybe a little before, like when Call of Duty World at War and then Splinter Cell Conviction and some of those games came out. I started sort of getting back into playing more games. But yeah, I'd say it's probably when I switched to my second high school. It was very, very small, and there were a bunch of people there who were really, really into games, which was sort of new to me. Like, that was sort of like, oh, you're a nerd, don't talk about that stuff. But at my second high school was, much more mainstream.
Open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, Halo Reach came out right around the time I switched high school, so I played that with some people. And, like, Battlefield 3 came out around that time. And that's sort of right as I was getting kind of back into that was when I started writing reviews for Classic Game Room too. It was sort of a really quick jump from me getting back into games to me writing reviews.
Yeah.
Which was...
How did you discover them?
If I remember correctly, initially my first 360 red ringed finally. And I was looking up videos on like what the process was like to just send it back to Microsoft and that sort of thing. And I found a video of Mark sending it back and showing it, and I just like, oh, this is really cool, personable sort of guy. And then that was several months passed after I watched that video. I was watching some other game review. I think it was some IGN review. I don't remember what it's for. But my dad says, like, hey, what are you watching? And I told him it's a game review. And he goes, oh, you know what? I know someone who writes for or who runs a site. It's called Classic Game Room. And I didn't, realize at that point that they were local Pittsburgh people. And so I got in contact with them and said, hey, I like what you do. I might be interested in, writing reviews. And it's just sort of real quickly kind of went from there. Initially just doing remote stuff, but...
Yeah. And you did text reviews for the website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My first one was for Fight Night Round 3. I remember that. It's probably still saved on my mom's computer.
My first one was, I think, Wario Land something or other.
I remember I would write them on my mom's computer because she had a big iMac. She still does, but it's kind of borked, so she just uses it as a monitor. But, so like those are probably saved there somewhere. I did like that. I did one of the Madden games. And they'd send me a bunch of like DS shovelware games to play, and every once in a while I'd find one I really, really liked for some reason, like the rebooted GoldenEye for DS.
Oh gosh,
the single player in that game is terrible, but
they did a DS game with
that? But the multiplayer, it's like they realize no one gives a shit about this game competitively, so let's just say, screw it, pick whatever fucking weapon you want when you spawn. So everyone's just running around with rockets shooting at each other. It was great. And you can't play it anymore because, Wi-Fi connection's offline.
Oh, yeah.
So that game, God, what were some of the bad ones?
And this is still for text reviews?
Yeah, this is all text stuff, my DS stuff. I had to review the DS version of Bloodstone as well.
What's Bloodstone?
That was the third-person James Bond game that came out at the same time as
yeah,
that game.
I don't know.
Game sucks. I had to review a Yogi Bear game.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Except not.
I remember it being competent.
I like old school animation like that, so that would initially grab my attention.
I had to review I think Deathly Hallows Part 1 on DS. That game, God, that might be the worst game I've had to review.
Yeah, some of those Harry Potter portable games were really weird. Yeah.
I have a couple little point and click sort of thing. City Interactive, the publisher that put out Wards of the Fallen and the Sniper Ghost Warrior games. They put out some DS games. I think they might have changed their name actually, but they put out these point and click. One of them was called Crime Scene Body of Evidence, and it was just a point and click game. It was so hard though and so cryptic. I had to have guides open the whole time I was trying to finish this review.
Well, just the title is so generic.
Yeah, and then they put out another one that was like a haunted house sort of point and click. But yeah, so I did that for 4 months, I think.
How did your dad know Mark or Classic Game?
He was there. I guess still is. I'm not sure. The site's winding down or whatever. But he did legal work and stuff for them.
Okay.
Yeah. So he had known them, I think, back to the days of like From USA Live and stuff.
Like in when did it launch? 99 or
something like that?
2000?
Yeah, because we moved to Pittsburgh in '97, so I'm not sure exactly when he started working with them, but I know it was before CGR got like back up because we have
on YouTube.
Yeah, because we have like DVDs in our basement of like some of the documentaries Mark did.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure exactly when that sort of time frame worked out, but yeah, that's how we knew them. They lived, pretty close to us, so.
So you did the text reviews for like 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like what? You were like a sophomore in high school or junior in high school?
Junior, yeah.
Yeah. So then what happened?
Then they asked. Then that's when they started up the gameplay channel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which Kevin Lind was hosting at that point. And so they were bringing on a couple of different people to make videos for that. I think it was Kevin, me, this guy named Trevor.
There were a lot of CGR people that I forgot about.
Yeah, and then there was a guy named Drew who used to also do a lot of
Undertale?
text reviews on the site. I think he
did he not do some Undertale?
I think he did eventually, yeah.
Okay, because that sounded familiar.
Yeah,
but.
so we would just do walkthroughs. I did I think Call of Duty 2 was my first one, and those were kind of. Doing walkthroughs is a lot different than you think of like doing a Let's Play where you're recording live commentary, because how we did it was I'd take notes as I was playing a game and mark them on the time code of like where it was when I was recording, and then I'd record all of my lines that I wanted to say at the end and cut them up and then put them in these videos. So but yeah, that
was that in Office yet, or were you?
Yeah, that was in Office at that point because I didn't have like any editing software or anything like that. That's actually kind of how I learned how to use Premiere, which was cool. Was doing that sort of stuff. So I would do like full games like that. I did some sports games, which was sort of weird to do walkthroughs for, but I thought it was just like I don't know, I'll play a baseball game and I kind of give tips on like which hitters, when to throw what pitch or whatever. I did a couple Halo games, or at least the first one, and I think I stopped doing Halo after that because I realized those games. It took so long to get through one of those games for a walkthrough, and it would be so many parts that like we wanted people to be able to watch these walkthroughs and then go to the next one or whatever. So
right, and that was like so this is like an after school job that you do.
Yeah, I'd go over 2 days a week, and this actually worked out well with my new high school. It was so small they didn't have time to do like meetings or anything during the day. So on Wednesdays we get out at like 1.
Wow.
And so I'd get picked up. Instead of getting driven back by the bus, my mom would pick me up and she'd drive me over there, and I'd do a few videos at that point, like walkthrough videos. And then on Saturday, I'd basically spend my whole Saturday morning and afternoon there. So
that's not a bad gig, though.
No, I mean,
like for like high school and
and the thing was at that point I had been applying to a zillion places trying to find a job, and then I found this and I was like, oh, I'm literally playing video games and talking about it.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's like the dream job right off the bat,
and
or some form of it.
Yeah,
at least.
And everyone said that. So that took me to around the summer, I guess, of 2011, and that's when they had me start doing Undertow reviews again. I don't remember exactly how that came about. I think they just asked me if I wanted to give it a try. And the gameplay channel closed shortly after that, and then I was just focused on Undertow stuff only. I was doing like 4 reviews a week, I think, in 2-day chunks.
They were churning it a lot at that time.
Yeah. I had to get the like best GameFly count you could, so you could have 4 games out at a time, and I had to have that because I'd play all the games. I'd have all these games that I'd have to review, and then I'd send them back and cross my fingers that the games I needed to get were going to come in the next week, and occasionally they didn't, and that's when I'd review like a rodeo game for the Wii.
That's probably when I just started, by the way, discovered CGR Undertow, was probably in like 2011, because I had a friend of mine, good friend Hayden, who, I guess he somehow found them, and he turned me on to them, and I'm like, cool, and that was exactly what I needed, because I had absolutely like so much free time at that time, so I could sit there and watch 80 million, CGR.
I remember
reviews.
around that time, I'd spend like Friday nights when I wasn't, because I was done with the goddamn marching band at that point. Because I was so happy when my high school switched, when I didn't have to be in band when I switched to the new high school. I would just watch.
Done with the goddamn marching band.
I would just watch CGR videos and like angry video game nerd videos and like happy NES punk videos like all night. Yeah, those were the days. So yeah, I do that. And you were doing like comic stuff first, right?
Well, okay, so I gotta look up the dates on this because I don't even really remember when I started doing stuff. But it was like after you left, because you were doing 2011, started doing CGR Undertow stuff, and then how long did you do that schedule, and how long were you doing videos?
I did CGR Undertow until right before I left for college, so August 2012 was when I stopped. So I think,
and so that was like a year,
about a year and a half.
Yeah, and was it like hard to keep up with all the? Because were you doing that schedule of like 4 videos a week or whatever you said all the time?
Yeah, I mean, during the summers it was obviously easier. I think I might have even done. I don't know if I did more or not over the summer. I don't remember. But no, I mean, it wasn't really. It was hard at first, like when you're kind of overwhelmed with the stuff, and of course, getting that much exposure on YouTube for a teenage kid is sometimes not the best thing in terms of stress. But I kind of pretty quickly, I think, learned to sort of get into the rhythm of that. But it was just when I went to school, I was thinking, this is sort of a new start and all this sort of stuff. I should, kind of go off on my own, and that's why I started a podcast. When I went to high school, when I went to college, which didn't last very long, but it was a nice little experiment. But yeah, I think you were around at a little bit at the same time.
Yeah, I was.
Stuff.
Yeah, so I was doing So I think like towards the end of 2011, maybe, or early 2012, I started doing text game reviews, and then I honestly cannot remember for the life of me how this came about, but I guess I emailed someone and it was like, hey, do you want me to do stuff for you? And I don't know how it came about the comic book stuff, but Mark had just started the CGR Comics channel, and that was March. My first review went up March 30th, 2012, which coincided when I was getting into comics at that time, because I wasn't really into comics really necessarily like keeping up with them before then. But and then it was kind of me and Mark for a while, and it just became kind of me. And I did that. Let me see. I'm trying to find it till like February of 2013. So I can't, like, that time of my life does not even, like, I don't remember it. Like, it's like, I remember doing them, but, like, I really can't remember the dates on it.
That's the
but
thing that sort of happens with me, too. Like, I remember this has actually happened to me before. I've gone to YouTube, searched so-and-so game review, and the first result is a review that I did. And I'm like,
yeah,
what
I don't
the
even
hell?
remember
I
everything I
that
reviewed
game?
at all.
And I sometimes I've even started watching it, and I went, wait a minute, that's my voice.
It's trippy, man. Like, I don't know. It really feels like a totally different time of my life. Like, not even, like, even the stuff that was going on at the same time feels separate. You know what I mean? Like, it's like really hard to describe, but it was really weird. But anyways, yeah, so I did CGR Comics for like about a year, I guess. And then they just wanted to stop doing that. And then I started doing, there might have been an overlap with Undertow, but then I started doing Undertow videos shortly thereafter or around that time. But yes, that was what I was doing at CGR at the time. Now I'm curious about when I started doing that. But yeah, so you how did you feel about CGR after you left?
I felt good. I felt, like I said, I felt like it was a time for me to sort of expand and sort of try new things. But I was still talking with people there. TJ, who left a few months ago, I'm still good friends with him. I think I went out to dinner with him and Ashton, who was there for a little bit doing some video, mostly editing, but he'd do reviews every once in a while. So yeah. And like I said, it didn't work out in the end, but the podcast I started was with a fan of the show. So
who was that?
That was Dean Thompson.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Now it's coming back to me because when you said podcast, I'm like, what was that? And I'm like, okay, I remember Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny how things kind of like work out. Like one of the guys who used to also do videos for Undertow was Jonathan Williams.
Yeah, cool guy.
Yeah, so he's I had been friends with him. I've never met him in real life. I've never met you in real life. I've never met a lot of people I talk to in real life. But so I would talk to him and stuff like that, and so for years we kind of go back and forth, just talking games and shooting shit after we had left. So like I think maybe like last semester, my girlfriend has been friends with this guy named Jared, and she, told me, oh, he's really into games and all that sort of stuff, and you guys would probably like each other and all this sort of stuff. So at one point I'm like, all right, I'm going to Google this guy. Or Facebook him. So I go to his Facebook page and I look, oh, one mutual friend. Wait a minute, he's Jonathan's brother. And so I'm like, oh, wow, someone I've never met. I've now met his brother and be like, hey, I know your brother, but I've never met him in real life. It's really...
It's that weird thing. It's like it's a small world or whatever. But there is this kind of weird CGR world, huh? Like there's been a lot of people involved with CGR over the years. Yeah, it's
interesting in seeing like Ray Carcillo, who's the reviews and previews guy at EGM. He was at CGR.
I was going to say, isn't he at EGM now?
Yeah, he's been there for years now.
Yeah.
I met him once, and then he left before I think actually started my the video part of my job. Jen, she works at Riot now.
Yeah.
Derek they're winding down CGR, but he said he's going to do something else. I also, I met this, he was a radio host in Pittsburgh, Rocco DeMero. He was sort of a big name guy, and then he went to Game Trailers afterwards. But I think he came by CGR. I'm not sure if he was thinking about working there or what, but yeah, there's been a lot of people, who've written for the text site too. I know Matt Paparocki, who's a pretty big freelance writer. He used to do text stuff for them as well.
Yeah, and it's just, like I said, it feels like a very different part of my life. Like, it feels like a long time ago. Because I did Undertow I looked at the dates, 2013 to, February 2013 to, March 2014.
Uh-huh. Wow.
At which point they just weren't doing, freelancers anymore, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so, I wasn't, let go.
That's crazy to think, because I started at Invisible Gamer, in early 2013.
I got in touch right after that.
I remember,
I remember April 2014,
yeah.
So, I mean, it's been more than a year. It's been a year and a half.
Wow.
So, but I know, again, time is weird. I don't really... So, I guess I was involved with CGR stuff for, about 2 years, which makes... Because I did a year of comics and then a year of Undertow, and then a little bit before that with the tech stuff, but... It feels very, very long time ago, but I have this kind of weird nostalgia for it, too, because before I did stuff for him, I was a big fan, and it was weird because I was a fan of you, not knowing you. Now I don't give a shit about you. but I was like, yeah, I was a fan of Gabe, and then I remember when you left, I was like, oh, that sucks, and like I said, my friend Hayden and I were big CGR fans, so we're like, oh, Gabe's gone, that sucks. But, yeah, it's really bizarre that now you're this little this dude that I know. This piece of shit guy that I'm talking to right now. No, I'm just kidding. But it's just a very different time, and I don't know if you feel the same way about it. But
yeah, I mean, high school is fucking weird, man. But
I know it was high school. That's what's even weird. Because I'm a little bit younger than you.
Yeah.
I started doing that when I was 15, 16.
Yeah, I was 16
stuff.
when I started.
So I was and I go back and listen to it, and I'm like, oh, my voice is bad, and also my writing's not as good.
My writing sucked. My voice sounds the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My voice was definitely higher. I didn't think it was, but when I go back and listen to it, it was. But so yeah, it's definitely, I'm a very different person from when I was 15 to now. Even though it's only been 4 years.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I was the youngest person by 10 years when I was there.
Yeah.
The next youngest person was 30 years old, and I was...
Right.
Yeah, it was was pretty.
Well, so how was like working in that like the office? What was the dynamic? Because I've always wondered, as being a remote person, what it was actually like there.
It was strange. It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was there, they switched to a regular sort of office later on. But the underwater thing, obviously, it wasn't that big a secret that we were in a storage facility.
Yeah.
But it worked. It was kind of because we'd be able to shut the door and just record, and it was sort of soundproof that way. It was weird, but it worked out. There were a couple of different editing kind of rooms, and if someone was in one, you'd go in the other one, and all the capturing stuff was there, and then when you were done, you walked to the storage unit and you left.
Right, that's funny.
Yeah.
So I guess we can kind of just touch on it. It kind of sucks that I don't know what's going on with CGR.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been in touch with anyone there pretty much since I was done. But so CGR Undertow's done, and then CGR is winding down. I think Mark said it's like going to be more of like a hobby thing.
It seems like it's going to be more like what it was like near the beginning of the revival.
Right.
Posting stuff.
The beginning of YouTube, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Because what was he doing in between, like, 99 and revival?
He was directing documentaries,
stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I somehow I found one of them. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, he did a couple Civil War ones. I think he did one on the Chicago State Fair, or World's Fair that Gene Wilder.
Oh, that's the one I saw. That's right. Yeah. So, but it kind of sucks because that was the place that I got started in, and CGR wasn't like a huge, especially Undertow was smaller, but it was never huge. Right. But it had like its following.
It had a very loyal. If you ever would see a poll of people saying what's the best game review place to go, CGR was always near the top of that list.
Yeah, it was cool to be a part of that. And I look at some of my reviews, and like some of them, like my Half-Life reviews, have like 40,000 views on them, and I'm like, that's insane to me.
My most watched review is for Toy Story 2 on N64.
How much was it? How many?
The last time I checked, it was well over 100,000.
Now I'm curious again. But yeah, there might have been something over that, but that's just what kind of stood out to me. But yeah, it kind of sucks that that's going away in some form.
Yep.
Gave me my start basically. Mm-hmm. But all right, so moving on from CGR stuff. Mm-hmm. You went to college, tried to do a podcast. Mm-hmm. What were you doing with games-related stuff in college beyond that?
You mean like right away?
Yeah, I mean, were you doing nothing right away and just trying to adjust to college?
Yeah, I figured I really needed some time to mostly just adjust. So we did that podcast once a week. The episodes would be like 40 minutes long. He'd help me out mostly by getting images because we were doing it as a YouTube sort of thing, and I had iMovie, which really sucked for a number of reasons.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, we were doing that. I did some Let's Play videos as well, which I stopped very quickly because they were taking up so much of my time and no one was watching them. And people really don't think about that. Like, it's kind of draining to be recording video games for a couple hours at a time with that sort of stuff. Then I started doing these little, I don't know, they were sort of like how Jim Sterling did the Jimquisition, except way less funny and shorter. I would just take a news piece that I thought was interesting, and I'd sort of just opine on it for a few minutes. And so I did a few of those, and that caught the attention of like I think Jake Baldino watched one of those. He's the guy in charge of GameRanks' video and stuff. And it was around that time where I started talking to some people about joining Tech Heads, which was Ohio University's gaming and tech website and show. So then second semester freshman year is when I started writing for them. And I started getting back into doing written reviews again, which I hadn't done in a very long time at that point, and that just felt really, really good.
Not having to worry about the visual or the audio components are like, it's actually kind of freeing, but...
Exactly. And doing some podcasts. At first I was just the, just sort of panelist on one of them, and then when the host left after the end of the school year, I took over that podcast. And yeah, it was cool. That was the first time I covered E3 as well over the summer. He happened to live pretty close to me, the old editor-in-chief Eric, back in Pittsburgh. So I just went over to his place and we covered E3, on his couch. And that was the first time I had kind of dealt with like a real sort of, not newsroom vibe, but sort of like an editorial staff sort of thing. And it was cool. I met some friends there. My roommate I met through that. Most of the people I'm friends with now I met probably through tech heads in one way or another. I was with them then, so second half of freshman year and then all of sophomore year, and pretty soon after I joined Tech Heads is when I also joined Invisible Gamer.
What year was that?
That was 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you get involved with that?
At that point, Eric was also writing for them. Very small at that point. I think it was only 3 people. I think it was just Michael, Brian at that point, and Eric. And so he brought me on board to do. They wanted me to do mostly editorials at first, I remember, because they said like reviews are sort of covered, but we needed an Xbox guy, and you can do editorials. So I did like a top 10 list or something for my first one. It's like the best games to play over the summer. I still think that list is good. And so I was writing for both of them, and so basically I'd sort of spread out most of my reviews, and most of my content would be on Tech Heads, and then if I wanted to do an op-ed, I'd usually put it on Invisible Gamer.
Right.
And that kept going through the end of sophomore year, and I decided to leave Tech Heads because most of the people I knew who had been there before had graduated, and I just I really liked how Invisible Gamer was run, so I decided to sort of start with going to that full time. So that's sort of that was sort of a quick year of me swapping stuff around a lot, but yeah, that's sort of. That continued for a while because we started doing news around that time, and that's I think when we brought you on board, just kind of by chance.
Well, yeah, that was like 2014. Well, so I don't know. Again, I don't know the timeline on this stuff because it's all over the place. But somehow we got in touch after you left CGR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have no idea. I was thinking about that too. I don't know.
I have no idea.
I figure you friended me, but I don't remember when.
On Twitter or something. But so we started to do a podcast. Mm-hmm. That was short-lived. For various reasons, just timing and other projects.
Took fucking
and
forever to make that thing.
Yeah, and so, anyways, that happened. But so you were just kind of around, and then when I was done with CGR, I don't know the word. I still don't know what the word to use for that is. But and there's no bad feelings there. I understand. I was like, cool. And actually, it's probably time for me to do something else. Anyways, I was like, hey, I know you write for this website, Invisible Gamer. Mm-hmm. Do you think I could do that too?
I think I actually asked you if you wanted to write for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. Because you probably saw that I posted something about, like,
yeah,
I'm
I talked
done
to you about it.
Like,
because I was like, man. Because at that time, I wanted you to come sort of do some stuff for us anyway, but I knew that you were tied up with CGR stuff, so I decided to...
Yeah, and they're pretty much like, you gotta stick to... They were like, don't do other coverage, which makes sense, I guess, kind of. But... at least reviews. But so yeah, then I was like freed up in that regard, and then I guess so. Yeah, I guess you got in touch with me. Like I said, I have like no memory of these things. They just kind of happened, and now they're the status quo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great thing to happen because you were kind of putting it the same way, even though we're all remote and there's no actual newsroom, and we're not like we weren't like keeping up with everything that was going on. It was the first time that I moved from like just reviewing whatever the hell I wanted, pretty much.
To have 10-year-old game.
Yeah, 10-year-old games to having like keeping up with stuff, or someone kind of directing coverage, and so that was very important for me, I think. And it sounds like that was kind of a similar situation, at least with Tech Heads.
Yeah. I mean, an Invisible Gamer was even sort of more so maybe because we were doing news again. At Tech Heads, we didn't do much besides E3 coverage in terms of news.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I started writing news there, and I found that I liked doing that.
Yeah, I really like news.
Yeah, and before I thought I only wanted to do reviews, and now it's kind of the other way around. I still like to do features and editorials, but reviews, I'm just like, I don't really want to. I mean, I'll do it, but it's not my forte anymore.
I've written over 200 reviews at this point. Probably 300.
Between video and written, just in general, yeah.
When you play games for so long, knowing that you're going to be writing a piece at the end and you have to remember what you're going to be doing, it is really nice to just sit back and play a game and not have to worry about remembering every little bit, every detail. Because I never used a notebook or anything when I was writing reviews. I would just, if it was important enough, I'd remember it. And so, like, I'm looking up, God, did I review any of the games on my shelf? I'm looking now.
That's all I did with CGR, especially.
Yeah, like definitely.
If they hadn't done it and I was playing it anyways, I'd review it.
I did that with like Mass Effect 3. Those would end up being my best reviews.
Inflicting on my free time.
Those would usually end up being my best reviews if it was a game I was already sort of playing. But yeah, like I've only written about a couple of the games on my shelf now that I'm looking at it. But I didn't write a review for anything besides Devil May Cry, and it was the 360 version. Yeah, but it was really nice at Invisible Gamer because we weren't trying to review everything that was coming out. God, I don't know if you can hear that. There's construction that's been going on next to my apartment. There's like this plant, and my room is shaking.
Yeah, I can't hear it. I hope your building doesn't collapse in on you.
Yeah, it's kind of terrifying. But anyway, and I'm worried because I made that little Guardian statue that came with Halo 5, and it's like always shaking a little bit above me. I'm so happy I actually managed to make that. But anyway, back on topic.
I don't remember the topic.
Reviews, I guess. And stuff.
Yeah, so you've done a lot of reviews.
Yeah, I was very happy when I got a chance to not do them anymore.
Yeah. And now that I haven't done them for a while, now I feel like I could probably get back into it. But yeah, definitely news is kind of more. Also, in terms of like career-wise, it's much easier. Well, not easier, but it's a much more stable thing to be being a news freelancer than to be a feature freelancer or a review freelancer.
Yeah, the thing I say, and I'm making this a point actually in a school project I'm working on now, but that's sort of the one area where like the traditional sort of press, written press, has sort of reigned supreme in like this era of YouTubers making like their Let's Plays that people kind of take as reviews and stuff. Breaking news is still coming from the traditional outlets for the most part. When Xbox One's DRM decision got reversed, that was Giant Bomb that posted about that first. And so
Well, yeah, if you're saying that traditional outlets are like big websites, but I thought you were talking about like newspapers.
No.
But within the games press, you're saying. Okay. Yeah, no, that's totally true. Yeah, I mean, what personalities and YouTubers and blogs and stuff like that do are kind of offer an opinion rather than kind of the hard news right off the bat, which is fine. They fulfill their niche and. But yeah, you're right. All the big news comes out of the big outlets. They break it first. Just because I feel like the YouTubers and the personalities don't necessarily have that. They might have the connections, but they don't really have the. Not that they aren't trusted, but it's just like not what they do.
It's interesting if you. I was reading a feature. I think this was on like Gamma Sutra. It might have been somewhere else, but some YouTubers, like big name YouTubers, who get like review copies sometimes before reviewers do, still kind of get the shaft when it comes to like press events, getting like interview time and stuff. So
really,
yeah. So that's one area where it still seems like the traditional press is more trusted for whatever reason.
Mostly because they're and I mean I had this conversation the other day with like because we're both going to school for journalism, and a lot of what I'm learning does not line up with what games journalism in quotes is, and that's fine. And I feel like there's a whole now we're going into some other territory here, but there's just like this whole conversation about what games journalism should be, and it is not Walter Cronkite, it is not New York Times, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, I think there's no way it can be. Games journalism is access driven. It's not like we can go investigate public records about what games are coming out in
And
you
then
know, it's entertainment. It's not
people doing really good work. Doing
no,
that
definitely. Like Jason Schreier at Kotaku. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Right.
he's great at that. But I mean, for the most part, most of the things we can do are based on press releases and people granting us the ability to like play a game early or preview or whatever.
It is very different.
And that's fine. Yeah. That's just how it is.
Yep.
You know, it's entertainment. It's not like there are serious issues within the world of games. Like I know the Crytek stuff. Like was that last year? But like Crytek said, people not getting paid.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
And that's not related to the game itself, though. That's related to any employer, getting. Same thing with like Konami sort of stuff, but.
Right. Exactly. So that kind of stuff is good journalism, but for the most part, it's just kind of editorializing.
Yeah.
It's not.
That's fine. At a point, it kind of has to be. Yeah.
Exactly. Anyways, I don't know why we got on that track, but I just thought I'd point it out. So we're kind of getting close to the end of the story here of the incredible Gabe Gurwin, but it's not really the end because you're a senior in college. Mm-hmm. You're almost done. What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
Because that's a few years off for me still, and I'm like, what am I gonna do?
I'm gonna quote he's not late or great, but George W. Bush. I'm gonna stay the
he's
course.
Late.
I'm gonna stay the course. We'll just kind of take whatever opportunity comes about. I'm happy. Doing what I'm doing now is really really good while I'm in school. I'm hoping to probably ramp that up once I graduate, but we'll see. Kind of putting one egg in one basket is probably not the best approach. No. So I'm just kind of keeping my options open, which is what you kind of have to do when you're in college because you can't usually, invest too much time into stuff besides school.
Right.
So
even just for the fact that you're not going to be free for another 6 months or whatever, you know what I mean? Like even if you try to apply to places and stuff like that, it's like
right.
Oh, and also
right away.
Yeah, exactly. So like you kind of just have to wait till you're done. Yep. So that makes sense. But I'm glad that you contacted me or whatever the situation was to come to Invisible Gamer because I like that site a whole lot, and I haven't been writing as much because life.
Yeah, nor have I.
Well, yeah, and you've got digital trends and stuff like that, and that's
every once in a while I still want to post something, and we'll kick it up a notch, as Emerald Lagasse would say, with our.
You're quoting all the greats today.
With our Game of the Year coverage, so. Yeah,
and I was thinking about getting back into just writing news just to flex that muscle again, but it's just too much.
Yeah.
There's too much going on. But I'll probably have by the time this posts, all this will be done. But I'll have Game of the Year 1989 stuff.
Yeah, the long-awaited return of that series.
I know. Well, it just gets harder and harder.
Games have just gotten bad, man.
No, it gets more like there's like 50 million games that okay, so in 79 there's like 2 arcade games that I care about, right? And then I can find them online and play them, like Asteroids or something. Then like by 89 you got like full RPGs and shit, and it's just there's so many games that are coming out. I don't even know how I'm going to handle like modern years, but this is a lifelong project, so it's not even like not a big concern.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we could talk, Gabe. What do you got to do some work?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing some more research on my political science paper on video games and a little bit of TV and sort of the relation to national security issues.
Dang.
Yeah,
that's serious.
18-page paper for that.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be great. That's our final in that class. And I have to read some stuff for a social media class, so fun day. But
where can people find you and your work and everything? Yeah,
so you can find me at twitter.com/GamingAngelGabe. And if you want to find the DT news that I write, that's at digitaltrends.com/gaming or /games, both work. And then, of course, at invisiblegamer.net. Whenever I post something, it'll be there.
Yeah. I got to get on that.
Yeah.
But I have to do 4 stories by the end of the week, so I'm kind of like this class, and this is, I mean, we're pretty much done. But this class, every week there's like a beat story due.
Yeah.
And an outside thing, and I'm like, I'm getting scheduled full hours at the dang movie theater.
Yeah, you should stop recording now and go do that stuff.
Well, and I have to work at 4.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I gotta do some shit. But, and it's like serious stuff too that I'm like, not like domestic violence and I mean, it's good stuff, but it's also like sad stuff.
You should have picked a happier topic.
I should have, but. Alright, Gabe, thanks for talking.
Yeah.
Now, wasn't that fun? Gabe's a good guy. Great talk. I'm glad we did it. And I'm sure I'll talk to him again for some reason in the future. Of course. So next week on the show, I have Jeanette Garcia and Daryl Rodriguez, creators of the World War I documentary. It's about the early history of video games, and it's really great. It's phenomenal. I want them to do more. We talk about that. And it's the first for the show. A 2-person interview. I think it turned out all right. It made sense because we were talking mostly about World War I, but it was fun to kind of like go back and forth about the different stories and of their lives up to making the documentary. Which you should also check out. World War I is really great. It's I don't know. I'm sure I'll talk about it next week, but it's really slick and exactly what I would want to do. Like it's like I'm jealous of what they were able to do because it's like totally up my alley of what I would want to make. But I'll talk to them next week, so look forward to that. It's really fun. All right, so if you want to keep up with the podcast, you can like it on Facebook, Butterfly Effect Podcast. Subscribe on YouTube, Butterfly Effect Podcast. Follow on Twitter, at Butterfly Pod. Email me, trettleman@gmail.com, TRETTLEMAN. Follow me on Twitter, at Eddletod, ETTLETODD. And this is kind of a little bit of housekeeping here. The first people that noticed that I changed. So, okay. I was hosting the podcast on Invisible Gamer, the site I write for, because I needed a place to host it. And I didn't want to keep doing that in perpetuity and take up the space there. So I'm now hosting the podcast on Spreaker. So Spreaker is now where the podcast lives. I created a new iTunes feed based on that because I couldn't access the RSS feed, blah, blah, blah. It's tech stuff. So there's a new podcast called the Butterfly, like technically a separate podcast called Butterfly Effect on iTunes. I got rid of the other one. I don't think many people were subscribed to it anyway, so it's okay. But if you'd like, go on to iTunes and search Butterfly Effect Podcast, or go to the website. It'll link you to that, butterflyeffectpod.com. And so Spreaker is pretty good. I enjoy it. It helps me to track stats and things better, and so it's on Spreaker. It's called Butterfly Effect. It's a show on there, but there's really not much difference except that on the site it's going to link you to a Spreaker player, and on YouTube it's going to look like Spreaker because Spreaker allows you to kind of just export directly to YouTube. So that's really neat and helpful. So I don't have to render an hour long video every week because my computer is real slow. Anyways, tech stuff is real exciting, I know. But anyways, I just wanted to keep people abreast of that change. It's not much change. You can still listen to it with your ears. So I hope you'll continue to do that. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you next week.